Welcome to So Many Receipts. I'm Shelley Seddon.
And I'm Fleur Michelle.
And we're two entertainment journos based in Sydney, Australia who love to analyse and talk about all things reality TV and pop culture.
In Deep Dive, we go all in on stuff we're dying to know about, plus chats you won't want to miss. Today in Deep Dive on So Many Receipts, we are super excited to be talking to Rodger Corser, famed Aussie actor and host of Channel 9's hit new game show The Fleur, which airs Monday and Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. on 9 and 9 Now. We're going to be talking to Rodger about the show, the acting biz, his time on the Traitors Australia, and more. Rodger, welcome to So Many Receipts.
Fleur, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a thrill. So, look, let's get into it. The premise of The Fleur, it seems deceptively simple at first. Flash up pics of various things and people have to name what each of them are. But once that clock starts ticking down, people seem to get stumped on stuff. It's not as easy as it seems, right?
No, there's layers to it. Look, it's great. It's easy to enter into the show as a viewer, I think, because it is a trivia battle. You know, we love trivia in this country. We've all been at the pub and probably been at pub trivia. So it's easy to get, but the more you watch, there is layers to it. And you're right. What can seem overly simple, when our contestants get up there under the studio lights and the pressure, it's a little bit harder to produce quickly, because the name of the game is to spit out the answer as quickly as you can, because you both have your own ticking clock, the sort of sands in the hourglass sort of running out. You've got 45 seconds, and the longer you take to answer, the quicker your clock runs out, you see. So
I could see the beads of sweat going down their faces.
I think it's that sometimes the perfectionists get it wrong, I think, because people who are like, well, I don't know that, pass, and they pass straight away.
Yeah.
Then they get something else, and they nail the next one. People are like, no, don't tell me. I've got it, and they've got to get every answer right. Well, that's to their detriment because their clock runs out, you see. So you're better off just throwing, pass twice in a row, bang, bang. So, but as you go on with the show, the strategy starts to come out. People start to gain some more territory on the floor, because every time you beat an opponent, you take their square, their tile on the floor.
Yeah, that's right.
So you amass this sort of territory on the floor. So it becomes a strategy of sort of knowing when to play and when to sort of go back to the floor and hide for a little while and let the other contestants battle it out, and then sort of put your hand up again a bit later on.
Yeah. So, what would your special category be? Because I think mine would be celebrity couples, celebrity breakups, Nepo babies, all of that really important stuff.
Probably something in the sporting world, I suppose. But look, I'm probably a jack of all, master at none. I wouldn't say that I'm great at any one category, but that's probably, in our show, that's the deceptive thing, is you come in with your specialist category, but you mightn't play it. For a long time, and some people don't play it at all, because if you're chosen to play, you're randomly selected to play, you have to play one of your neighbours in their category. So you could end up playing a couple of multiple rounds in something that's not your specialty anyway. So you do need to know a little bit about everything, and we found that out with some people that might have multiple university degrees but know nothing about popular culture, and they get found out. And people were afraid of some of the, more academic, I suppose you would call it, subjects. Like the people were terrified of the periodic table, for instance. And, in production, the production team and myself were going, well, you can go home and you can probably study it overnight, and it's finite. It's within a box, like the periodic table. And if you went and, studied over a couple of nights, you'd probably be okay, because we're not going to ask, overly, hard, equations or anything on that. It's just basically, what do these letters represent? But if the reverse though, if you don't know anything about celebrity couples, where do you start with that? It's
Yeah.
it's actually a broader subject if you're not across some of the pop culture things. So
I'd be the person that I've got multiple degrees, but I only know about pop culture. So I'd be I'd be all right with
you'd
that.
be all right, and
I
you'd be
w-
perfect.
yeah, I
Season
would.
two.
I'm getting my application ready as we speak. So you're the Aussie equivalent of Rob Lowe. Can I call you that because he hosts the US show? Are you enjoying the
Yeah, I think that's where
comparison?
the comparison finishes. I think the fact that we do the same show, but Broadway's 60. He's going all right. I tell you what, he's.
He
I
is
hope
indeed.
to be in as good a nick as he is at 60. I tell you what.
Oh, I'm sure you will be. Look, and just one more question. That floor set looks absolutely enormous. 81 people on the floor. Is that space really as big as it seems?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. It is. It's like I mean, it's a different shape. It's more square, but it's the sort of size of a basketball court, really.
Mm.
Plus the studio audience, plus our stage. It's yeah, it's it's impressive. It's a big screen they're all standing on. You can't just whip down to Harvey Norman or Myers and pick that screen up. It's a good bit of kit.
Oh,
So
right.
yeah, it's a huge set. And when it's all lit up and everything's going, and a huge lighting rack and cameras that are flying around in the air and everything. So yeah, it's impressive.
Impressive indeed. So look, we read that you recently said you had to kind of reinvent yourself a little bit as a game show host, amongst other things, because there weren't as many roles as you would like in Australia. Has that been hard to deal with, considering that you are an actor first and foremost?
Um, yeah, I've always been open to new things. I mean, I started in rock bands, went to a rock musical, on the stage, which is different to being in bands, and then from being on the stage to sort of learning how to audition for film and TV roles, and did that, and so it's just an extension of that, really. I mean, I've always been open to new things, and I mean, it's about working, really. I mean, I'm a family man, got a mortgage to pay like a lot of Australians, and you just you adapt. I mean, I love the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
I sort of don't know sort of how to do much else, so it's a small pivot within the entertainment industry. It's sort of you use the skills that you've gathered, and you kind of fake it until you make it a little bit. So I mean, I dipped my toe in the water. I filled in on Today Extra a few years ago off the back of Doctor Doctor. I had some very nice people on that show sort of help me through that,
Mm.
as a newbie, and then the Traitors came up, and I think because I had done a bit of presenting, filling in on Today, that I said, yeah, sure, why not? And then now, because of that, I can springboard into this with a bit more confidence than maybe I would have had, say, 5 years ago. Just straight out of acting, probably wouldn't have taken it. Probably thought I couldn't do it. Um, but again, I'm very lucky that people knew that it was probably one of my first kind of crack at it. So they, gave me a bit of a run up at it, and we rehearsed a bit. But it was good. I find at the end of the day, I mean, this show is, I wouldn't say it's easy, but I don't have to read any questions out. It's not like Tony Barber or on Sale of the Century.
We'd love to see you do a Tony
I have
Barber.
to read out 1,000 questions. I get to walk off. I say, let's duel, and I walk away, and I let the contestants sort of do all the hard work.
Yeah.
And my job really is just the audience at home, sort of just taking them through what's going on in the show, this,
Hmm.
maybe the strategy, especially later on, and then posing to our contestants, maybe sort of, do you want to play on? Do you not want to not? It's just chatting to people, really. So
Yeah.
as long as you can get on with people and chat to them, and my job is to ask questions about people, about their lives and their family and what they're thinking and feeling and what their specialties are, just so the people at home get to know a bit more about them. So it's a pretty good job.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. So speaking of Doctor Doctor, you that screened on free to air Channel 9 for 5 years until 2021. Do you think streaming has been a good or a bad thing for dramas and actors? Because what about if you get a role starring on a great show, but not everyone gets to see it? Only the people that subscribe to that channel get to see it.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's twofold because you know if you're excuse me look, you definitely, like, I think in the old days when shows were, 7, 9, 10, and 2, people were far more well known, and that's what you want. Then yeah, it's harder to get well known, but also shows perhaps were broader as well, where you can be more niche on streaming. You're going to get darker, sort of grittier dramas and more niche comedies and what have you. So if you if you just like what you're doing, you're probably going to get more satisfying roles as an actor on streaming. But yeah, maybe it's harder to gain an audience because it is a bit more diluted with so many players in the market. Having said that, in Australia, there is still sort of the issue of local content that we need to address and work out, because when we just had 7, 9, 10, and 2, there was content laws, and so there was X amount of Australian content generally, and then it was then broken up into drama as well, and telemovies and what have you. And so that was sort of written into law, and you had to broadcast X amount of Australia. Now with all these new players coming in internationally through streamers, they still haven't worked out a way for them to sort of include Australian content as a necessity. So we could go a couple of years if they don't want, with no Australian content pretty much. Because I think post COVID there's no obligation now for the broadcasters to really have Aussie content. Now they do anyway because they know it sort of works for them. But I think it's time for these new international players to sort of play ball, and we're all subscribing to these streamers, and they're making lots of money out of us. So and we make good stuff here. So why not make some stuff here and take it to the world. So yeah, it's still in flux. I think it'll take another couple of years to really sort of work all that out.
Did you ever go to Hollywood? Did you think about it?
Yeah, I went to America, went to LA in between sort of 2010 and 2020. Sort of most years I'd go for pilot season. I'd have a deal there with ABC America, what I call a holding deal, which when they sort of pay you money not to go and get jobs with anyone else because they promise you the world. And it's what happens at home. There's a lot of promises. There's a lot of promises. So at one stage there I thought I was going to probably jump on an ABC, which is part of Disney over there, show. But things happen. The person that got you on that deal then leaves, and the new person comes on, and all that kind of thing happens. And so I made the choice because I saw some other friends kind of pack up and go to Hollywood and take their families and sell their house and then live off their savings. And I chose not to do that. I chose to do the opposite. I chose to stay here, pay off my mortgage, and because I knew that this industry is so up and down that I didn't want to sort of be mid-40s and have sort of squandered everything. So I sort of played it safe, and part of me sort of kicked myself, going, like, you had an opportunity and you didn't take it, and you could, because a lot of I had an agent and I still have a manager over there. But they're all like, if you're here and you're auditioning here in the room a lot more, you've got a bigger chance than just sending tapes all the time. But I still wasn't prepared to sort of do it. I sort of played it safe. But I'm pretty happy with my choice because
worked out well.
My kids have new shoes on their feet, and we're doing okay. Where I've seen some other people sort of gamble it all, and it hasn't gone so good for me, because look, there's only 5 to 10% of actors in at any one time that are all employed, so it's a tough industry.
Yeah, of course. So on game shows, we at Second Receipts love the Traitors. How can we get another season of it on Aussie TV?
You'd have to ask Channel 10 that. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure if it's cancelled, because they never called me and said it was cancelled. So
okay.
So
no.
Look, the international versions are huge. They've won Emmys and BAFTAs, and so it's a huge format. So I suppose, unfortunately, you have to sort of choose those international versions. So at the moment, it's so look, maybe I can talk tonight. Maybe they can. We could do 2 shows on 9. That'd be
Well, look,
good.
you were a fantastic host on that as well. Very debonair, a bit like a dashing James Bond. And
Mm.
this is a special question from Shelley. What happened to the big painting of you that was over the piano?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's stored away in some dusty warehouse somewhere or something. But that was fun. I mean, that was a good show to do as an actor because I got to sort of not play myself and sort of play a sort of hybrid sort of version of myself. So it was a bit
Mm.
of fun. We got to ham it up a bit and um,
You
you
were the
know,
Australian
but
Alan Cumming.
it was Lord of the Manor, of the Grand Old Hotel, and I got to put on that kind of voice, play that kind of guy. So that was a
Yeah.
bit of fun.
It
So
was fun. So look, I've long had a theory that people's gut instinct is not always to be trusted and is often wrong. And I speak from experience here because my gut is shocking. I've been wrong about things that my gut told me so many times. And I feel it's taken this show to prove that this theory is correct because on series 2, you had a police officer, a former federal agent, and the intuition was awful. Like many contestants we've seen, has this show taught us that you just can't trust your gut?
it shows how much you can be led. And people were so confident, with leading with,
Mm,
I'm an ex-detective, or we had a clairvoyant. Is that series 1? Yeah, perhaps, and that didn't.
wrong.
Yes. Yeah, they really, were out there leading with their specialty, weren't they? But yeah, it is that show was frustrating when you knew who the traitors were. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's very difficult, I think, to probably put yourself when you don't know what's going on there, and it shows you how much we can be led
Oh,
by people, and
exactly.
and a charming personality, how far that will go. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
and
absolutely.
how easily we go along and we trust people.
I just always think it's funny. Oh, so and so, they just look so guilty. Oh, I just don't trust. I don't trust what she's saying. And then they're faithful.
Yeah. It was that second series. People love it or they hate it because it was because we didn't get a winner at the end. Spoiler
Yeah.
alert. So but some people think it's the best ever series of the show around the world because of that fact.
Mm.
Because it was extremely frustrating, and some people sort of find it infuriating as well. So it's polarizing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, of course, you have 4 beautiful kids, and we saw your oldest daughter, Zippy Corser-Anu, singing at the AFL Grand Final last year in front of a global audience of millions, in very good company with Katy Perry, who is also on the bill in a space jumpsuit, I think. Was that a proud dad moment?
Oh, of course, I'm always proud of all my kids. But Zippy's got her own entertainment career. She filled in this summer a bit on Triple J. Did some presenting on that. So she hopes to do a bit more of that. So she's doing a whole bunch of different things. Obviously
Mm.
she sings back up with her mum quite a lot. But we're pushing her to she's 22. And I said it's time to get your own music out now. So she's writing, and she's writing new songs with different producers, and keeps sending me tracks all the time. I think I've got 4 tracks on my phone there that she sent me. So hopefully she'll release some music soon, and she'll be off on her own path. So it's exciting for her.
Very exciting. And finally, because we do discuss TV on so many receipts, are there any reality TV shows that you watch or just favorite TV shows in general?
Reality TV. My kids watched a bit of maths this year,
Oh,
which
did you?
sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know if it's for the younger. I don't know if it's great modelling behaviour
You
for
have to get
them.
the
It's
kids
great.
to
It's a
leave the
great show. I
room.
mean, it's a show. I mean, look, it's very hard. I've been, we've had the first week of ratings have been incredible for the floor, and
Yeah,
it,
amazing.
it is. You do admire any format that can keep coming back and keep delivering and keep rating, like maths, like a block, these sorts of shows that do it a year in, year out, because it is difficult, because I'm used to dramas, and we don't usually rate as high as the 7:30 shows. We get a bit more on catch up, for sure, but you've got to admire a format like maths that it's year on year that
Mm.
keeps bringing the numbers. I'm probably not a huge reality TV watcher as much as dramas. So when I've got the time, I will probably jump on a streamer and then sort of devour 4 or 5 binge some episodes. I'm watching Mobland, which is on
Okay.
Paramount, which is Pierce Brosnan and a bunch of British actors, which is it's a Guy Ritchie-esque type of show, which is great. So that, I mean, I was an early adopter of Welcome to Wrexham. I suppose a reality show. That's
Oh,
probably, yeah, the way they Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds take a Welsh football team from the lower tiers of English football, and I've just the new season isn't out yet, but they've taken them now. They've just won promotion as well, so they're in the second tier now of English football. They're one away from the Premier League, which is an incredible feat. So I've been sort of closely following that show as well.
yeah, we've talked about Ryan Reynolds quite a lot on this podcast because of all the Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni
Right. Yes,
issues.
I've seen a bit of that. I haven't been across all of it, but yeah, that's it's the wild and wacky world of Hollywood where things get played out publicly. I mean,
Absolutely.
sometimes you're thankful that like being in the entertainment industry here in Australia, you can still kind of walk in the street and go to your local supermarket and no one really cares. It's
Yeah.
good. But over there, it's everything. Having your whole personal life play out in front of everyone would be tough.
Well, I've just been stunned at how many like personal texts and emails and all sorts of things have been released to do with this whole thing. It's like talk about dirty laundry just
Yeah,
hanging out
well,
there.
it's such a surreal level. I think there's so much money involved at that sort of level. So then you're employing publicists, then it's legal teams, then they're obviously releasing things to hurt the other side. It becomes surreal, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
it's so far removed from the rest of us live.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Roger, it has been awesome talking to you about the flaw and acting and bad gut instincts and all of that. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, Fleur. Been great. Thank you.
Check out The Flaw, airing Monday and Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. on 9 and 9 Now.